Welcome to the deep dive. We're all about, cutting through the noise and getting straight to those key insights from source material. We dig into articles, research, sometimes our own notes, basically giving you a shortcut to being genuinely informed and hopefully have a bit of fun along the way. Today, we're jumping into something really fascinating, maybe a bit mind-bending, the world of thought experiments. So, what are thought experiments exactly? Well, they're not real experiments in a lab. They're these imaginative scenarios, purely in our heads, designed to really probe deep philosophical questions, mental laboratories, kind of. We're using a great book as a guide here. Bushes translates to, if there were no today, would there be a yesterday? The author, Yves Bossart, is a philosophy PhD who uses these a lot in his teaching. And, the title itself, that's a thought experiment right there. Makes you stop and think about time, doesn't it? Reminds me of the philosopher Augustine way back, who argued that, well, past, present, future, they don't really exist in a solid way. The past is gone, the future isn't here, the present is just this fleeting instant. So if none of that exists, maybe time is just something we construct. Wild stuff.
It really is wild. That Augustine example, it just immediately grabs you, shows the power of these things. I like thinking of them as like Archimedes' lever.
Yeah.
Find the right fulcrum, the right imaginative scenario, and bam, you can sort of pry open these huge philosophical ideas, see where they're strong or where they maybe fall apart. What's fascinating here is just how much you can explore with just thought.
Like philosophical scalpels, yeah. Though sometimes I wonder if they simplify things too much. Anyway, okay, let's unpack this. We're going to tackle three big philosophical questions using these thought experiments. First, how do we even achieve fairness in society? Second, what is art, really? Especially modern art that, let's be honest, can be confusing. And third, can robots actually have real intelligence? Or is that just us? All right, fairness. It's this universal thing, right? Humans have obsessed over it forever. But it's not just humans. There was this amazing monkey experiment. Two capuchin monkeys, same task. Monkey one does the task, gets cucumber. Okay. Monkey two does the exact same thing. It's a sweet grape. Big difference. At first, the cucumber monkey's just kind of miffed, but they repeat it. And the monkey just loses it, throws the cucumber back, bangs the floor, shakes the cage. Pure outrage. You knew it was unfair. Honestly, it reminds me of sharing dessert as a kid. That feeling. Totally get it. And this sense of injustice, well, we see echoes of it everywhere, like workplace inequality.
Right. If monkeys get it, you have to ask, how do we humans, philosophically figure out a fair society? This raises an important question, and that leads us to John Rawls, a hugely influential thinker on this. His book, A Theory of Justice, introduces this incredible thought experiment, the veil of ignorance.
The veil of ignorance. Okay, so imagine this. You have to design the basic rules of society, the fundamental laws, institutions, everything. But, and this is the key part, you're behind this veil. You have absolutely no idea who you'll be in this society. Zero clue. Rich, poor, healthy, sick, smart, maybe less so. Your job, race, gender, orientation, all unknown. You're designing the game without knowing your own starting position.
Exactly. And Rawls' conclusion, well, it's pretty compelling. He argues that from behind this veil, rationally, you design a society that really looks out for the least well-off. Why? Pure self-interest in a way. You might be one of them. So you build in safeguards. His core idea is that any inequality we allow must fundamentally benefit even the worst-off person. If it doesn't help the bottom, it's not fair by his lights.
Okay, that sounds logical. Even noble, maybe. Protect the vulnerable. But does it always work? Let's test it a bit. Imagine two safe deposit boxes. Okay? Box one might have $100, might have $1,000. Box two could be $200 or $400. Rawls' principle, focusing on the worst outcome, says take box two. Guarantees you at least $200. But wait, box one has way more potential, right? And the average payout is higher, $550 versus $300. Does that making box two feel a bit overly cautious? Maybe even irrational if you like a bit of risk. Okay, let's push it more. What if applying Rawls leads to a different kind of unfairness? Picture world A. Everyone earns $10 a day. Simple equal. Now, world B, the absolute worst off person, earns $9 a day, just slightly less. But everyone else earns $100 a day. Rawls' principle favors world A, equality, even if it's equal poverty, basically. Is that really fair? To limit everyone's potential just to ensure absolute equality at the bottom?
It's a tough question, and this is exactly where other philosophers push back. Robert Nozick, for example, comes in with this famous Wilt Chamberlain argument. It's a direct challenge to Rawls.
Ugh, the Wilt Chamberlain one. Love this. Okay, imagine the start of an NBA season. Perfectly fair society, let's say all players earn the exact same amount, equal distribution. Then the team owner makes Wilt Chamberlain, the superstar, a special offer. Wilt, for every ticket sold this season, you get an extra $1. Ugh, a million fans buy tickets, Maybe because they love watching Wilt play, so Wilt earns an extra $1 million. Huge inequality now. But here's the thing. Everyone's happy. The fans voluntarily bought tickets. The other players aren't worse off. No one was forced into anything.
Precisely. And Nozick's point is, this new unequal situation is still fair. Why? Because it came about entirely through voluntary choices and free exchange. No rights were violated. For Nozick, fairness isn't about the final picture, the outcome. It's about the process. Was the initial situation fair? Yes. Were the steps taken voluntary and just? Yes. Then the result, whatever it is fair. It really shifts the focus, doesn't it? From snapshot equality to procedural justice.
It really does. Process versus outcome. Though, of course, people critique Nozick, too, right? Like, what about unseen consequences, externalities, or the problems when wealth gets super concentrated? Does that undermine the fairness later on? So, yeah, the big takeaway on fairness, it's incredibly complex. You've got Rawls behind his veil, trying to protect the weakest. You've got Nozick championing free exchange with Wilt Chamberlain. It shows there's maybe no single easy answer. It's a constant tension. Okay, shifting gears from social fairness to art. What is it? And why is some modern art just, well, baffling? Let's try another thought experiment, this one from Arthur Danto, an American art philosopher. Picture this. You walk into a gallery, you see several canvases. They all look identical, completely red, just red paint, but they have different titles. One's called Viewing the Red Sea. Another is My Mood. A third is Red Square, Moscow, 1975. How would you feel? A bit cheated, maybe. Like, is this really art? Couldn't anyone do that?
Yeah, and it immediately makes you think of real stuff like Duchamp's urinal, the fountain, or Warhol's Brillo boxes. Just ordinary objects presented as art. Danto's whole point is that art isn't just about how it looks. It's about its ability to make us ask, what's this about? What does it mean? It's about provoking thought, understanding, or discussion. If the red canvases or the urinal make you ponder the nature of art, then they're functioning as art for Danto.
Okay, so meaning is key. But if it's just meaning, why isn't a baby crying considered art? It definitely conveys meaning, distress, hunger, powerful stuff. But Munch's painting, The Scream, also conveys intense emotion, and that's a masterpiece. So what's the difference? Just the paint?
That's a great question. And it brings in another idea from British critic Clive Bell. Significant form. Bell argued that art needs more than just meaning. It needs that meaning to be expressed through a special form. The way it's presented, the lines, colors, shapes, sounds, is crucial. You can't just separate the what from the how. Reading a description of the screen isn't the same as seeing those swirling colors and that anguished face. The form is part of the meaning.
And why does seeing it, experiencing it directly matter so much? Because you get an aesthetic experience. There's another thought experiment for this from Frank Sibley called Musical Anhedonia. Imagine you could hear music perfectly, every note, every melody. You could analyze it technically, but you feel absolutely nothing. No joy, no sadness, no emotion at all from the sound.
Sibley's point is exactly that. To really grasp beauty, you need that direct sensory and emotional connection, that aesthetic experience. It's like trying to appreciate a sunset if you're completely colorblind. You can know the physics of light scattering, but you can't experience the beauty of the colors. Art needs that engagement.
So this aesthetic experience is like a threshold you need to cross to really get art. And while we say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, maybe some eyes are, well, more trained. Think about Apple designers or literary critics. They've likely developed more aesthetic experience, right? So maybe their judgment about design or literature is more refined than, say, mine. Like Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude. It's a classic, but honestly, understanding its deep literary beauty probably takes more than a casual read for most people. You need some background, some sensitivity to that style. Or the Mona Lisa, everyone knows it's famous. But for many, the reaction is just, oh, it looks realistic. Not that overwhelming sense of beauty experts talk about. Maybe that's down to lacking that cultivated aesthetic experience.
It's a provocative idea, for sure. And it leads to this almost startlingly blunt concept, the institutional theory of art. This theory basically says, look, if the art world, the critics, the museums, the curators, the experts, call something art and puts it in a gallery, then it's art. Full stop. How about that for blunt? But if you accept the idea that deep appreciation requires developed aesthetic experience, maybe relying on those institutions isn't so crazy. We trust experts in other fields, right?
If the experts say it's art, it is. Wow. But that's practical, maybe a bit cynical. Does it kill the romance of art? I don't know. But the takeaway seems to be modern art often wants to make you think using unique forms. And appreciating it fully might require developing that aesthetic sense, which experts often have more of. So next time you're baffled, maybe it's an invitation to learn more, not just dismiss it. Okay, final big question. From art to AI, do robots have intelligence? Is thinking only something that happens in human brains? This is so relevant now, especially after AlphaGo beat the best Go players. Go was supposed to be the ultimate human game, too complex for AI, but nope. And the first reaction for many is, yeah, but it's just a program. It doesn't really understand Go. It doesn't feel anything. But let's push that with a thought experiment. Imagine we could replace your brain cells, your neurons, one by one. Each neuron replaced with a tiny artificial circuit that does the exact same job, sends the exact same signals. Replace one neuron, still you. Replace 100, a billion. What if we replace all 100 billion? Is it still you? Do you still have consciousness, feelings? Where did you go if each part functions identically?
This gets right at the heart of a philosophy called functionalism.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here is functionalism says what defines a mind, or intelligence, isn't the stuff it's made of biological goo or silicon chips. It's the function it performs. If a system processes information, learns, solves problems, makes decisions, if it acts intelligent in all the ways we recognize, then, for a functionalist, it is intelligent. The hardware is irrelevant. It's the software, the process that counts.
Which leads straight to the Turing test, right? Alan Turing's idea. A machine is intelligent if a human chatting with it can't tell if it's a machine or another person. So, after AlphaGo didn't just beat Lisa at all, but wiped the floor with multiple masters, can we really say it doesn't understand on some level? Functionalism would lean towards, yes, its function demonstrates understanding.
There's a famous counter-argument. Philosopher John Searle came up with the Chinese room thought experiment precisely to challenge this functionalist view.
Ugh, the Chinese room. Okay, describe this one. Imagine you don't speak a word of Chinese. You're locked in a room. Inside, you have baskets of Chinese symbols and a big rule book written in English. The rule book tells you exactly how to manipulate the symbols, like, if you see this squiggle, find the basket with that squiggle and send it out. People outside slide Chinese questions under the door. You use your rule book, assemble the right symbols according to the rules, and slide back perfectly grammatical Chinese answers. From the outside, it looks like you're fluent in Chinese, but you don't understand a single character. You're just shuffling symbols based on rules.
Exactly. And Searle's point is, the person in the room is like a computer program.
Yeah.
They can follow instructions perfectly, simulate understanding flawlessly, but lack real understanding, real consciousness. So the Chinese room suggests that even a super sophisticated AI like AlphaGo might just be doing what the person in the room does, manipulating symbols according to rules, without any genuine comprehension. It's a powerful argument against pure functionalism.
Right. It gives you that feeling of, okay, maybe human consciousness is special after all. A sigh of relief, perhaps. But wait, don't get too comfortable, because there's another thought experiment that messes with our idea of where the mind even stops. Clark and Chalmers' extended mind theory. Imagine this scenario. You have a smartphone surgically implanted in your brain, instant access. You can pull up Wikipedia, your contacts, do complex math just by thinking. Is that information stored on the phone but instantly accessible via thought, now part of your mind? What happens if the implant is removed? Does your mind shrink?
Clark and Chalmers argue, yeah, kind of. Their extended mind theory proposes that our minds aren't necessarily locked inside our skulls. Tools we rely on consistently and seamlessly, like that implanted phone, or even just a notebook we always carry, or our actual smartphone we constantly consult, can become genuine parts of our cognitive process. Our thinking literally extends out into the world.
Whoa. So my smartphone isn't just a tool. It could be part of my mind. So the next time someone tells you to put your phone away, you can say, excuse me, that's part of my extended cognitive architecture. Maybe not, but it definitely makes you think about how integrated these tools are. Maybe we should be leveraging them as extensions of our intelligence, not fighting them. Okay, so wrapping up this segment on AI, we've got functionalism. If it acts smart, it is smart. Versus Searle's Chinese room, simulation isn't understanding. And then this mind-bending idea of the extended mind, where our thinking bleeds out into our tools. Lots to chew on there. So what does this all mean? Wow.
We've covered a lot of ground using just these mental exercises, these thought experiments. We started with fairness, saw the clash between Rawls' veil of ignorance, focusing on protecting the least well-off, and Nozick's Wilt Chamberlain argument, emphasizing fair process and voluntary exchange. It really highlighted how complex, maybe even unresolvable, the idea of perfect fairness is. Then art.
Danto's idea that art makes us think, Bell's significant form, and the need for aesthetic experience to truly appreciate beauty, maybe even justifying the role of experts in institutions, it certainly makes you look at that confusing modern sculpture a bit differently. And finally, intelligence. The functionalist view challenged by Searle's Chinese room, does AI truly understand or just simulate? And then the extended mind idea, suggesting our own intelligence isn't just locked in our heads.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what these examples really show, I think, is the incredible power and, frankly, elegance of philosophical thinking. How just by constructing these careful imaginative scenarios, we can rigorously test our deepest assumptions about justice, beauty, consciousness. It's a testament to human thought itself. They're like finding that perfect Archimedes lever for ideas.
Absolutely. So here's something for you to ponder as we wrap up. Which of these thought experiments really made you stop and rethink something? Was it the veil of ignorance, the Chinese room, the red paintings, and maybe more practically? How might thinking about the extended mind change how you see your relationship with technology? Your phone, the internet, are they just distractions or are they becoming part of how you think? Food for thought. Keep that curiosity going.